We bless you, Father. Let your name be exalted in the name of Jesus. This is the ministry of Moses, part 70. The ministry of Moses, part 70. We're going to take our text from Numbers chapter 14, from verse 10 to 12. Looking at verse 10, we will see what ended the short sermon of Caleb and Joshua. These two brave men were trying to build confidence and also helping them to get rid of fear. But the congregation responded by stoning them. It was not only Stephen that was stoned in the Bible, Joshua and Caleb were also stoned. The difference was that Stephen was stoned to death, but for Joshua and Caleb, theirs did not lead to death. During the time of Stephen, the glory of the Lord descended upon him. That was why the heavens were opened and he saw some activities going on in the heavens. The glory of God that descended on Stephen did not save him from the stones, but instead it gave him a revelation of his place in heaven. Now, the glory of God didn't save Stephen from the stones because his assignment has ended. But in the case of Joshua and Caleb, the glory of God was what delivered them from the stones of the people because they still have more grounds to cover. Imagine that Joshua had died by stones. Who would have led the Israelites to the promised land? The function of the glory of God differs. Sometimes it can save you from your current problems when it comes to you, and some other time the assignment may be different. Let us consider the word of the Lord from verse 11 as the glory descended. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long will these people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them. Now, here in verse 11, the Lord was speaking to Moses. He was tired of the Israelites' unbelief. From the statement of God here, we were able to know one of the major reasons God performs miracle among his people. The anger of the Lord was heavy on the people because the Lord expected that they should have put away their unbelief due to the mighty things he has done and he is still doing in their midst. Here is the point. Anytime God does something miraculous and wonderful to you or through you, he equally has an expectation from you. God's expectation is that we overcome fear and unbelief. So, in order for this expectation to be met, He will continue to do mighty things so that through His doings, we will learn to trust Him completely. As a minister, if you see God doing something extraordinary among your congregation, don't just lead the people to shout and just celebrate. You must expose them to the expectations of God for doing what He is doing in your midst. If you fail to show your people the expectations of God for what He is doing in your midst, then your congregation may end up as victims of God's anger because they won't stop relating with God through unbelief. Anytime we advertise our unbelief before God, we are challenging and questioning His fatherhood dimension. God gets angry each time we fail to acknowledge Him as a worthy Father. As a worthy Father that can be trusted for whatever we need. Let us consider verse 12. I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. From this verse, we can see that God was ready to relate with the people as if He is relating with His enemies. How on earth will God smite His own people? I thought God only smite His enemies. This will mean that unbelief is a converter. The same way we become sons of God through faith, we can also become an opposition to God through our unbelief. As logically acceptable as unbelief can look, it is a serious offense before God. God went ahead to say, I will disinherit them. Kai. The same way the Lord is the inheritance of the children of God, the children of God are also the inheritance of God. What happens is that we will inherit God and God will inherit us. We belong to God, and God belongs to us. But in this verse, God was ready to disclaim the Israelites because of how far they have journeyed into unbelief. May the Lord not disinherit you and all those that are following you in the name of Jesus. The Lord ended his speech by talking about Moses. The Lord said, I will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. God knew the only person that has the sufficient stature to plead on their behalf was Moses. So, in order to make Moses not to plead on their behalf, God quickly told him what will be his gain after he has destroyed the people. What God was planning to do was to destroy the Israelites, then raise a mightier seed from Moses. This is the plan. The origin of the Israelites was Jacob. The Lord changed Jacob's name to Israel, and his children grew and became mighty. It was the coming together of his 12 sons that produces the Israelites. Now, that was why we have 12 tribes of Israel. So 12 tribes of Israel is like you're saying 12 sons of Israel. Israel, which was formerly Jacob. Now, God was ready to wipe out all these people and raise another great nation who will not carry the Israelis' identity. The identity of this new generation God was willing to raise will be linked to Moses, not Jacob anymore. So instead of being called Israelites, they will now be called Mosites because they will be descendants of Moses. This question is, the question is, will Moses agree to this? Looking at the everlasting honor that will be, that will be attached to his name and his lineage. It's just like you working in a ministry, you working in a mighty ministry with so many branches around the world, and suddenly the whole congregation fell into sin, including the founder. But you were the only one found worthy of God. If you now, if God says He is ready to hand over the ministry to you and put you in place of your founder, what will be your reaction? Will you jump on the offer looking at the level of glory and honor you will enjoy, or will you say no and choose to intercede on behalf of the people? Will you give God reasons to do that fast, or will you give God reasons to have mercy on the people? Now, the reaction of Moses in this statement, the reaction of Moses to this statement from God will be unveiled in the next series. God bless you.